Our world is now immensely crowded with information coming in from everywhere. Today I would like to share with you the different components of the science around data and show that getting knowledge in data analysis is worth investing your time and effort. Hi everyone, I'm Max. I'm a freelance in data science and growth hacking with deep interest in tech and entrepreneurship. These topics of data and analysis have always been an interest of mine. I assume if you click on this video, this is your case as well. You maybe never really pushed the topic too far, but somehow you still feel attracted by these conversations. Whether working in a big or mid-sized company, or even a startup, the problem is often the same. When it comes to trying to make sense of this massive flow of information available at our end, an overwhelming feeling of anxiety starts to appear. Whether you're managing the Google Analytics of your website's company, you're the CEO of a startup and have access to users' data behavior, whether you're a financial analyst with access to a lot of economics data, or even if you're managing the social media of your company and have to analyze the different Instagram posts and tweets about an influencer. Businesses have the ability to gather a huge quantity of data spread a bit everywhere. And usually, the bigger the company, the bigger the problem. Usually driven by a fear to lose an opportunity. Whenever we have data available at our end, we have this need to get a grasp of this information. This flow of information can be in such a variety of format that it almost seems nearly impossible to make sense of it. All of this can be overwhelming at first, and you only know two things for sure. One, you have limited time in this world. Two, this world is getting noisier every day. It's getting messy. Very messy. Alright, let's clarify what we need, because no matter how technical it can be, if we know why we are doing it, we'll have an endless motivation and it will be just a matter of practice and not giving up. We are curious and we want to learn. We want to be efficient. We don't want to have to do the exact same thing twice. We want knowledge that will be applicable everywhere because we need diversity of topics. We need to be able to synthesize things. As we know, the loudest aren't always the smartest.
Look at me. The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. I told you that.
So we need tools to filter out this crap. We need to be able to visualize things and communicate them clearly. We need to know how to focus on the right things for our needs or our business. And lastly, if we have to learn a new skill, it might as well be sustainable, as these skills better still be necessary in 10 or 20 years. It's pretty obvious that being able to manipulate the data in this digital world would fit all of the above criteria. Let's look up for the definition of data.
Data can be defined as the factual representation of the attributes of anything.
A little bit too broad. Maybe it's worth spending some time to search more about it. After a few hours of research, you might honestly feel even more lost than before. There's just so many keywords. Each area seems even more important and complex than the previous one, until some data that we find gives us a different perspective. Would data quality be what matters the most? Let's take a step back. If I had to analyze data, what would I do first? I would need to collect it, gather it in the same place, organize it, visualize it, as we humans learn more easily visually, understand it in order to improve it, or maybe even understand it in order to predict things happening. This is where some illustrations found on the web can be really useful, like this one. Depending on your stage with data science, you'll have different needs. Most companies have actually the most needs in the first 3 steps of this pyramid. Data can be structured and come from databases, but it can also be unstructured like text, images, videos, etc. Cleaning and understanding your data is the most important and time-consuming aspect. After this, you usually want to build graphs and dashboards to showcase your findings or to keep in mind what is the most important. Related to these topics, you'll hear different names such as BI for business intelligence, ETL for extract, transform and load tools. And when it comes to graphs and dashboards, you'll hear terms like data visualizations or maybe even visual literacy. As for the top of the pyramid, Well, many companies want to claim that they're doing machine learning or artificial intelligence, mostly for marketing purposes or to feel like they're working on the trending topics. Truth is, most companies want the cherry on the cake, but they just have a cake, and it's not even fully baked. You might have noticed that the more there is a marketing hype around a topic, the more there's going to be different vocabularies to just say the same thing. Now that we are getting some clarity, and that we understand that what matters mostly as a start is to collect, gather and organize and visualize, then we realize that what matters most is to actually get basic notions of some concepts such as metrics and dimensions. A metric is the value that you are measuring, and dimensions are the attributes or characteristics of an object or person that you are observing. With these two concepts, you now have KPIs, key performance indicators, as KPIs are composed of metrics and dimensions. To give a practical example, if we look at the weather and the average temperature in a city over a month, here the measure is the average temperature and the dimensions are the location and the dates. These data could be extended over several years, several cities and countries, and we can easily understand how we would filter this information based on these dimensions. These are simple examples, but when data gets more complex and data manipulation is needed, this is where the experience in the art of data modeling comes handy. This area of manipulating the data, visualizing it in order to understand it, can also be called EDA, for exploratory data analysis, and this is essential. With everything presented above, it's now pretty obvious that what matters mostly is the quality of the data. If you have good data quality, then with the right approach, the fancy machine learning models will follow. However, and let me emphasize this, your best optimization system will still be the worst if you're optimizing from the wrong objective. This is why business skills and common sense are also essential. And this is true for any area. Understanding the client requirements, communicating clearly the goal and your approach, understanding the business model of your company or your client. If you're a SaaS, a software as a service, selling product or services through a subscription. If you're in arbitrage, buying things at a specific price and reselling them at higher price, then you need to know what's your margin, your volume, which items are making you the most profit, etc. Clear business understanding leads to clear objectives, which lead to clear KPIs, which lead to focus on the things that have the most impact, which should lead to improved results. But keep in mind that the data that you're observing can be wrong, either because of bad data quality like we saw earlier, but also because data can be used to manipulate opinions like politics can do, using statistics to appear rigorous and serious, but where they actually misinterpret the data or intentionally tweak it to their advantage. So, don't be fooled by this buzzwords competition. Try to forget your imposter syndrome feeling, because even big ones can make mistakes. Go from business questions to answers with clear KPIs and graphs. More data will lead to more information, which will lead to more knowledge, which will guide you to better decisions and to choose the right actions. You'll still make mistakes, but these mistakes will give you feedbacks on your errors. And these feedbacks are data, and there goes your feedback loop and the iteration leading to improvement.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes.
It's a new day and you wake up armed with clarity and confidence. You start to see the world through a different angle. You start to see the world through the lens of data. You can see yourself now. You can see yourself as a machine with different functions. These functions need inputs in order to give outputs. And to give the best outputs, of course, you need good functions, but you certainly need good inputs. If your inputs are crap, then no wonder why you have shitty outputs. Shit in, shit out, as we say. You now worship the importance of the quality, of the information that flows into your brain, of the food and liquid that flows into your body, of your surroundings and their advice, and the list goes on. With more and more skills and experience, you'll become genuinely curious about different things. Curiosity will lead you to questions. Follow them and seek their answers. I have asked many questions, still ask many questions, and will keep on asking many questions. And if you think about it, questions, they usually start with who, what, where, when. Now, if we take a simple sentence, like when we were learning how to speak in school, John bought 3 backpacks over last month in a store on the 5th Avenue in New York. When I tell you that everything is data, it's because we can go from a written sentence to data in a database. Language is just a certain kind of API. During a conversation, you exchange information not only with the content, what you say, but also how you say it. Your tone, the pitch of your voice, the variety of words that you're using, the speed at which you spit these words convey emotion and information about you. Yes, I learned how to code, but I will confess, I don't care about programming languages. I don't care about tools. What matters to me is why I'm doing it, what is my purpose. The methods and the how-tos don't have that much importance as long as they're efficient. I track data in order not to have to think about data. A little bit like trying to make money in order not to have to think about money. I believe what we should care about is art and creativity. Maybe it's a bold statement, but to me, coding is art. To my eyes, analyzing data, building dashboards and softwares are the ultimate tools for creation. Just like Warren Buffett sees his Berkshire Hathaway company as his way to best express its creativity.
What I want to do is run Berkshire Hathaway. Now, why do I want to run it that way? I get to paint my own painting. I go down there every day, and I feel like Michelangelo. They're working on the Sistine Chapel or something. Nobody else may think it's a great painting, but I get to paint my own painting. I do not have people second guessing me. I do not have people saying, why don't you use a little more red paint than blue paint? Why don't you paint a seascape instead of a landscape? I get to do my own thing. It's a form of creativity.
And why do I love creativity so much? Because it's infinite. We will never run out of things to learn, new ideas to try. And this is true with drawing a painting, building a mobile app game, making a movie, building dashboards, showcasing your data analysis and presenting your conclusions. Learning about data and programming will allow you to find ways to be efficient, to get the most out of your time while working. You'll use programming to automate anything you can automate in order to spend the most of your time on this creativity part that brings the most joy out of us. I hope I inspired some of you to start learning more about data and analytics. I made a first video about why data topics really matter in today's world. Feel free to watch it. If you appreciated this video, please fancy a like or care to subscribe. Also, if you have any comments, feel free to provide me with any feedbacks. All of this will help me improve the quality of my content. You can reach me on the different social media platforms that will show up. Thank you for listening and see you next time around.